Walk another while with me, laugh and drink and say there was something. But you say there was nothing. But you say it with a smile.
Whoa. Hey everyone, welcome to the fifth quarter fantasy cast. It's your boy, Coach Veee, and yes, I'm risking it all in the preseason. And I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Drye. He's the man, and I can testify, he has seen Twilight over 100 times. It's true. He can quote it. He could tell you every little scene. He could tell you whose nipples look weird and whose nipples look normal.
Yeah, definitely the nipple judge of the Twilight series right over here. But yeah, definitely seen it over 100 times. You know, the it's like my own personal brand of heroin, as Edward would say. So,
I've
but
seen
anyway,
Twilight one time, by the way, just once.
yeah. What's up, Coach V?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's a great day. We are up to 18 subscribers. We are closing in on 2-0, slowly but surely. Could it be you, listener, viewer? Could it be someone you share it with who's your friend out there who you think these two guys are interesting and they make good fantasy talk? Maybe. But we wanted to shout out some new subscribers. I want to shout out my fantastic nephew, Muggy, who is
Muggy.
driver. Yeah. you know, I just mentioned it casually, and he was like, "Oh, I got to get over there right now. What have I been thinking?" And he just smashed that subscribe button, and he also hit the notification bell so he can get notifications about our latest video drop. So that might be something you want to do too.
Getting
Doctor,
into the high school markets.
high schoolers, they love fantasy football. They live for
Yeah,
it. They love vibes and they love fantasy football. That's pretty
it's a
much.
whole ass vibe. It's bussin'.
Well, maybe we're
On
busting.
God.
So we're in the middle school market and the high school market these days. So good things are
Huge.
happening. So who do you want to shout out?
My buddy Tim Chapman, he has become a 125 percenter. Congratulations, Tim. Thanks for listening to us. Tim's actually one of him and my good buddy Asa, they actually had their own fantasy football podcast a couple years ago. Really cool to listen to. I don't think they're doing it anymore, but secretly I was like, I kind of want to get in on that too. So, but finally got the balls to do it this year with you. So yeah, shout out to Tim Chapman. Thank you so much for subscribing. You're the man.
Do you know how many subscribers they got to?
No, they were on I think it was Spotify. So I don't think they were on YouTube. I forget what they were called though, but like they were really good. They sounded super professional. But yeah, really good podcast. So but yeah, that's so as far as everything goes this week, Vinny, you had any drafts or anything like that going on in your personal life?
Personal life. Yes. So in we had a draft today in one of our leagues at work, and this is our league that uses crappy ESPN, and so it's just not a good app experience. Like I had to draft from my phone, and like if you have to draft from your phone, it's awful. But if you have to draft from your phone and you're on sleeper, it's like
Not so bad.
it's not too much of a downgrade. Like you don't feel like you're at a disadvantage. But by God, if you have to draft your phone on ESPN, it is really bad. First off, their rankings in the draft default is by projected score, not ADP. So you have to go in and change that
Oh
yourself.
gosh.
Yeah, I know.
And mobily too, so that's rough.
Yeah, and so that was a mess. And like you have to go in and make it where you can see like who drafted who. It defaults to just showing you who's on your team and nothing else. And like that's not helpful. I want to see like who's coming up ahead of me so I can see who needs a quarterback or who needs a running back, blah, blah, blah. So, anyways, despite all that, it was a good draft. I came away with a lot of good players, the people that I like. Also, I found out in Peepaw's league that we're doing the. Have you ever heard of you score? So in each matchup, you actually are going to record two wins.
Yep. I've
One's
heard of that. It kind of equals it out. Yeah.
man, I'm excited to do that. That's going to be
Yeah.
fantastic.
So you go against, I believe it's your matchup, and then the other score you get is against the league average.
Yeah.
So you're either basically five people are going to win, five are going to, or 6 and 6 or whatever. So it really does help with if you're one of those teams who you score the second most points every week, but you happen to be against that team that scores the most every week, like
Yeah.
you're not going to completely lose out. So
Yeah.
it kind of eliminates that where you have like someone who's like the third highest scoring team in the entire league, but maybe they have the seventh record or something and they just missed playoffs. That's why you have that. But I think it's really neat. Shout out to Big Peepaw for coming up with that.
Yeah.
Um, praise
Yeah.
Christ.
That's pretty
Uh,
sweet. Like I can't
yeah.
wait to play a season long with that because I think that's fantastic. Now I'll say I've never been that team that has had that buzzsaw schedule where you're just like outscoring
Yeah,
everyone.
I've always lucked out not having that.
I've always
That
been
would
the
suck.
I've always been the team that everyone's pissed about, like with the sweep
Yeah,
schedule, where you're catching everyone on their worst week and you're scoring just
yeah,
enough.
it's the
Uh,
best.
so I don't know. Maybe I'll hate the mean scoring thing because it'll expose me as a really bad fantasy football player.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's one of those things. But whenever you don't have to worry about it, is whenever you're on Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you sign up with the code Fifth Quarter Fantasy, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. So make sure you get on Underdog now, and then you don't even have to worry about that stuff. You just set it, forget it, have a great time, bam.
And so smooth, you're the smoothest with the ads. Like whenever we get Budweiser as like a sponsor, you're just gonna be like, "Oh, you're over there cracking open some stuff. Have you tried cracking open a Budweiser?" You're just gonna be ready in a second. But so
Oh, you.
you had an interesting best ball draft that you were texting me
Oh
about over the
gosh,
weekend.
yeah. Yeah, so I was in a best ball draft trying to, you know, coach and the doctor need some money. So we are in best ball on underdog and I signed up and I noticed a name on there, Ron Stewart. He has like 1 million followers, brilliant guy. Go check out his channel. Ron Stewart. We're subscribed to him. And anyway, I noticed the name in there, and then I was like, well, I'll go back and check out his live stream tomorrow or something. And turns out we were in his live draft, so we were picking fifth, and I had the worst draft that I think I've had on Underdog this whole season. So just kept getting, like I had the fifth spot, which I can draft from anywhere, but that fifth spot is rough in there. And anyway, a lot of people taking my guy right before me, just in every single little pocket that where I like to get my guys and everything. And I didn't like it and I was also trying to expose myself to some different players, like Coach V would like to expose himself to Pat Fryermuth. And so, I got my first Mahomes share.
Hey,
And so exposed myself to Pat Mahomes in that draft. But I mean, I would still bet on them. Speaking of betting, Bettle
hey,
Fantasy Sports is a platform where if you feel like you have the best team, you can actually go in there, put in that season long team, and if you think nobody can duck with you, you can really find out. So it's across ESPN platform, Yahoo, and Sleeper. So if you just feel like you have that squad, you can put it up against another squad and win some money or lose some money. But I think I haven't actually like signed up for it, but they got me a shirt and a hat where I don't know, I can't wear it right. It looks ridiculous. I think it's like a thing with a rope and a flat bill, and just I don't know. I look like like a total butt cheese boy. So if I was wearing that, we would have to keep that on the whole time. But yeah, we do have Coach V's coming to the land. He's coming to the 216 in just 2 nights. So we are excited about that. Excited to have him over and everything. We do have a home league draft where it's half Tennessee, half Ohio boys, and he gets to meet some of the guys up here. We're gonna have a fire, have a nice draft on Saturday night. 12-man league on Sleeper. Should be pretty fun. So playing with some guys I haven't played with in a while, and then also some new guys that I've started playing with again over the last couple of years. So I believe I have the seventh pick, and Vinny, you have was it the
11.
11th?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
So you're in a neat spot. I like picking like 11th or toward the back end there, but
yeah. I like playing with guys, and I like playing from the back end. That's what I like.
there you go. And playing with guys back ends. So so
In the,
yeah. Yeah, well, so that's all the shout outs that I kind of wanted to give. Did you have any more shout outs that you wanted to, or anything going on in your life that you wanted to share, sir?
no, this isn't therapy. This is a podcast. Damn it. So what we're talking about today is the guy, when I make like really like crap jokes. Thief, aka my wife, will look up from the couch. She'll look up from her
Uh,
and she'll go, and
that
that's how I know.
sucked, Vinny.
That's how I know that one sucks.
Yeah, I make sure my family's not in here so that because I perform bad whenever they're in the room. Like it's not good.
So today we're talking about the FQF God Squad. We've been hyping it for weeks now. I've been hyping it to everyone I know, and
Oh
we
yeah,
have it. This is a squad that we think is feasible. This is a so we could have made a God Squad, right, with all just first round picks. That's the true God Squad. But we made a real God Squad, someone that you could actually obtain in every single round throughout the draft. They all have like realistic ADPs for you to have on your squad, and we think this is a team that could do it for you. You could put this team on Bettle and probably do pretty dang
yeah,
good.
yeah.
So,
I think so.
how would you define God Squad? Is there anything I missed in God Squad?
So these are the players handpicked by Jesus Christ Himself. Like if He were to reach down, these are the 12 guys that He would put onto His fantasy football team on Sleeper because Jesus plays on Sleeper. He doesn't play on ESPN or anything. So the God Squad. Basically, the whole idea behind this is these are the guys. A lot of people will say to the moon or something like that. Why not go higher? So this is the team that could take you, or even if you get like half of these guys. Like these are league winners. These are people that we would call doctors' orders, coaches' favorites. Just guys that basically we would call them like my guys, right? So like these are the guys that we can't stop drafting in underdog. We're probably going to get them in season long dynasty everywhere. So we just can't leave these fellas alone. And anyway, so I made a little graphic on here. So without further to do, ha 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 ha. It's the God Squad.
The God
The
Squad. Hey.
so so I know that this looks like something terrible happened to them, and they are on a T-shirt that someone would wear to their funeral or somewhere like that. But these men are very much alive. They're living life to the fullest this year, and they're going to score us a lot of fantasy points. So these are league winners, people who are going to exceed that ADP. They're people that I like, people that Vinny like. We have a couple that are at the top, and they were both on both of our lists. We both like didn't look at each other's lists and then sent it to each other around the same time. And these were two that were, and they're close. They're second rounders or early second rounders. So not quite first rounders. Basically, our rule is no first rounders on the team. But I guess we'll just talk about it. I guess on the God Squad, we have the Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Vinny, you want to get us started with St. Brown?
Yes. So Amon Ra, and this, I don't think this is like a surprise thing. Like a lot of people are into the Sun God this year. Looked really nice last year. Had some injury stuff going on, but hopefully this year, healthy. That Detroit offense is just going to continue to take more steps in the right direction, and I think Amon Ra is going to be a big part of that. I mean, I think they're going to have. I mean, did you pay attention to the stat last year? Like how many times he was tackled within the 5-yard line?
Oh, I remember watching it, and I remember he should have had more touchdowns. Like I
Yeah,
think he only had like 6 touchdowns or something. So
basically, Williams' year. am I getting that right with Williams?
Williams.
You had Swift, and you had
Yeah, Jamal Williams. Yeah.
Jamal Williams' year was basically Amon Ra's year. Okay,
Hmm.
so all those short yardage Jamal Williams touchdowns were Amon Ra 5-yard tackles. Okay,
Yeah, that
so
makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much it. So let's convert some of those. And like Detroit has seemed to is dedicated more to like going more high flying this year and really throwing that ball around. So let's shave off some of those Williams touchdowns and let's give them to Amon Ra this year. And now we're talking not just the yardage and the PPR, but now he's backing it up with touchdowns. And so that's why I'm just believing in him this year. What about you?
Oh yeah. I mean, a lot of reasons to like Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, I'd take him over, and I know like Devonte Adams is there, and he's consistently like a top five, wide receiver option. I'd take him over Devonte Adams. I'd take him over Garrett Wilson, who's also on the God Squad. But yeah, I mean he's like right there for me, like right after that first group of receivers, where it ends up at like I'd take him over AJ Brown. Like there are some first rounders I'd take him over at the end there. But yeah, I don't know, like watching videos out of training camp. I know it's only camp, but this guy puts in the work. Like he's ready to kick it up another notch. I think that he's also the only, basically the only option in town for those first 6 weeks before Jamison Williams gets back. And even when he gets back, I think he's going to stretch the field. Amon-Ra is more of a, mid-range guy. He's going to, that's his game is volume, and volume's king in fantasy. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god, is going to bring us to the promised land. And that's why he's right next to his friend, Mr. Jesus.
And so our friend Mr. Jesus also has on his other side Mr. Tony Pollard, Dallas Cowboys, and so he's shaping up to look like it's going to be a really nice year. Why is Tony on the God Squad, Ken?
Yeah. So Tony is, and I'd go as like years ago, I would have put Tony Romo on the God Squad. They just have a great history of Tonys out there. So Tony Pollard, this man, he finished, and this is why I'm so excited about Tony Pollard. He was splitting time with Ezekiel Elliott. He was the second fiddle. He finished running back 7 overall last year in PPR. Imagine what he can do as the main guy. So I think he has that top 3 running back upside. It's like, who are you going to take out of there? CMC, Eckler, Bijan, but like he has that upside where he could easily finish top 3, top 5. So I mean, Tony Pollard, I'd take him over a lot of guys. I'd take him half a round early if I have to. He's a PPR monster. I know they've switched offenses and everything, but he just proved that he was so good with such little volume. He was very efficient last year. So that's why I'm really looking forward to him. And he's just, I don't know, he's just one of those guys with constant production. He's very involved in the offense. So yeah, very excited now that, Fat Ezekiel's out of there, and, he can just do his thing. And he doesn't really have anybody who can hold his jock after him. I mean, you got Rico Dowdle, you got Deuce Vaughn, who I think is a great like late sleeper. If Pollard were to go down, Deuce Vaughn would be someone who would be very intriguing as a waiver wire ad, or if you're in a very deep league, take him with your last pick or something. But yeah, Tony Pollard's the man, and that's why him, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jesus Christ are the 3 best friends that anyone could have. What do you like about Tony Pollard this year?
I'll say, all that plus more from you. But then what I would say is just the Cowboys are just dedicated to running the ball. That's just how their offense operates. Nothing's changing this year. And as long as, and for better or for worse, for NFL, probably for worse, as long as Jerry Jones is the owner and he has that just such an influence over the offense and an influence over the coaching decisions being made. He's an old school guy. He grew up winning championships, running the ball, and for better or for worse, he's going to run the ball. So, like, if they get pass happy and it starts not working, guess what? Big bones tones for 30 carries. Like, this is
Hey,
how it's going to go. And so,
that's
like,
him.
it's just, I would choose him over some other guys just because there's such a guarantee of the volume and the work. And you saw the efficiency last year. So it's only going to get better.
Oh yeah, big time. Next, I think we'll go with those couple of quarterbacks that we have. So, kind of different games. Both of them are, just, I think it's, kind of two separate things. Trevor Lawrence, I think he showed us a lot last year with, I think, I don't know, he's definitely added to that receiving core. His best friend Calvin Ridley's right next to him here on the God Squad. They're kind of a great stack that I love to get. Just because you don't have to invest that first, second round pick like whenever you're doing like a Chase and Burrow or like a Mahomes and Kelsey or something like that. Like this is something that you can get more like third round, fifth round or something like that. Which Calvin Ridley's moving up into that second round, which I don't like, but it's the world's finally catching up on him. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence, I think he's going as like the QB 8. He's definitely someone that you can wait on, which is what I really like because you can stack up those studs early on, and then like get Trevor Lawrence before it gets scary. So it's he's going QB 8, but I think he's the one out of that second tier that can jump. He's most likely to jump into that first tier or be on more of like that Burrow level where he's like that fourth quarterback that people think about. So that's why I like Trevor Lawrence a lot. He added the weapon of Calvin Ridley, and that's why I like Trevor Lawrence, and we'll talk about Calvin here in a second. But one that you submitted that I'm also high on, and I love taking him as the upside quarterback because, golly, that rushing upside with Anthony Richardson. Why'd you put Anthony Richardson on the God Squad?
Man, I just think he's going to be showing some things to some defenses that they ain't never seen before.
Yeah.
I think, like, I'm just excited. Like, and, that, like, I listen to more football than I actually sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to watch some Anthony Richardson because
Oh
I
yeah.
just think
Must see
athletically,
TV.
it's going to be amazing. And so just like Fields last year, I'm just seeing him as Fields, but far more durable because he like weighs like double what Fields weighs. Like,
Yeah. That muscle. Yeah.
it's just Fields was showing guys last year stuff they ain't seen before, stuff that defenses didn't know how to deal with. And Richardson's going to do the same thing, except he's going to hold up for a whole season. He's not going to get beat up and crumbled up. So that rushing upside, I think he's going to come out and he's going to throw that ball too. I mean, that's the thing. I think he's like a more developed thrower. He can chuck the ball and like
Yeah.
has that ability. And so I feel really good about them. I don't feel good about the Colts. Like the Colts are going to have a terrible year, but like
No.
I feel good about Anthony Richardson.
He's gonna have the ball in his hands a lot.
Now I do think like the news of Jonathan Taylor and them like approving the trade and possibly
Yeah.
he heading to Miami, that could hurt Richardson. That could like I'm not take him off the God squad, but like I think that could hurt his production because now
Yeah.
who the hell's running the ball? Like it's going to be him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I like him. I think it's going to be a really nice year. And he's even cheaper than Lawrence. Like
Right.
you could take a flyer on him. Go ahead and maybe you go get Kirk Cousins for nothing, and then but that's
Yeah.
stability. And then now you get Richardson for crazy upside. And as you start Cousins, and as soon as Richardson goes off, don't wait. Don't wait
Yep.
another week. Put him in the next week. Like
Yeah.
don't have
He's
him go off on your bench more than once because that's on you.
Yeah, I think he's one of those you see it one time and then it's time to make the move. But you do want that high floor person just in case. But if he hits, like, he's up in the heavens with his upside. It's about as high as upside as you can have. So let's see. I wanted to get into Calvin Ridley. I've loved this guy since he was in Atlanta. I didn't have any shares of him whenever he walked away from the game and got caught gambling and all that stuff that would normally keep him out of heaven. I wasn't negatively affected by that. so anyway, I had made a trade for him in Dynasty maybe a couple weeks before he was about to get reinstated because I remember him being like the third like ranked Dynasty asset at the time whenever he left, and just I, I get he hasn't played in a couple years, but I think he's knocked that rust off. We've seen videos of him in practice. I saw him run a route and then like Zay Jones or somebody run a route, and he was just like three times faster. Like he's so good. I think he's going to kind of pick up where he left off. He's got a great quarterback throwing the ball to him who's ready to take that next step. And Calvin Ridley's a huge reason why Trevor Lawrence is going to take that next step. So the stats are going to be there. Also, the Jags are going to be in a lot of games where, they're going to have to throw the ball. They're in the AFC. Grant, it's the AFC South, but but I mean, the rest of the AFC, like they're going to be in those barn burners where they're going to, be behind or, it's going to be a shootout or something. So yeah, definitely, looking forward to Calvin Ridley being back and coming back in a huge way. I also think, he feels like maybe something was taken away from him because he was, the whole betting thing and all that, and like all of us do it. Like it's just I don't know, as long as you're not like throwing games or something because you bet against yourself or hurting your team or anything,
Yeah.
let him bet. Who cares? Um, so so yeah, I mean that's why I got Calvin Ridley there. I think he's just ready to go crazy on the league and prove to everybody he is back and he is him. So that's why he's on the God Squad.
Yeah, I love Ridley because he's talented, but because he's getting folded into an established, already hitting on all cylinders offense.
Yeah.
So just imagine you have KC's offense, and then you just throw in a brand new star wide receiver. They're
Yeah.
just going to thrive right off that. So like I
Yeah.
don't doubt what's going to happen if like Hopkins. Hopkins coming to the Titans there's a level of doubt to it because he's a
Yeah.
star, but it's the Titans offense and we don't
Yeah.
necessarily trust that offense. But in this situation, like it works out.
Yeah.
So our next receiver is Garrett Wilson. And so that was one that you submitted to the group, and I
Yeah.
agree with Garrett Wilson there. And I know he's at least in the last few I've been, he's creeping up that draft board. People are getting excited about him. But why
Yeah.
do you have him on your squad?
Yeah, and he was kind of one of the last ones that I added here, just because like I'm like what he might be a little obvious, kind of like your St. Browns and Pollards, and one of those guys going in the second round. So Garrett Wilson, what I really like about him is he did good with just complete like shit quarterback play. Like it
Yeah,
was bad. Like he had Zach Wilson, he had. Probably the best quarterback he played with was probably Mike effing White,
right.
and
Yeah,
which we like Mike White. He
yeah,
always shows out. Like
yeah.
he
It's
he
just because
throws
he's
like
so afraid. It's like
yeah,
he knows he's playing for his fantasy owners.
right, exactly. That's why he's put on the field. Like the game's already over once it's announced he's starting. But yeah. So Garrett Wilson. That butt cheese boy alert was not for Mike White. That was for Zach Wilson. But Garrett Wilson, he's playing with Aaron Rodgers now, and Aaron Rodgers has said how much he reminds him of like a young Devonte Adams. Aaron Rodgers loves to throw those little 2 yard touchdown passes, kind of like the opposite of what the Lions did last year. They're not about to hand it off to Dalvin. Aaron Rodgers is about to audible out of that bitch and throw it to Garrett Wilson. So that's he's going to get a lot of those 1 to 2 yard touchdowns. He practices every day against Sauce Gardner. Come on, like, and they're even with each other, and like they're gonna iron sharpen iron, make each other better. So Garrett Wilson, he had a great rookie year. I just think he's gonna take that next step this year, and be one of those top five, top seven kind of receivers. Finish as a wide receiver one, definitely. And he'll be with Rodgers for a couple more years, and I think that'll be great for his development. He's basically, hopefully, going to become Rodgers' new Devonte Adams.
Mhm. Yeah, and Cook being added to the squad up there. That just is another threat, another element, and it shows the Jets are serious. They're serious about winning football games today, and that only helps his prospects. So when you're looking at this season, at least this season, the Jets are all in on winning some football games.
Yep.
And Rodgers seems to be playing well, seems to enjoy the offense that he's in. If he can find his old self, this could be
Yeah.
really nice territory.
Yeah, I just hope he doesn't favor the Lizard King, like out of nowhere, like just throws everything to Alan
Come on,
Lazard.
just let go,
Um,
man. It's over.
yeah, let it go. You got a shiny new toy in Garrett Wilson. Use him. All right, so next I wanted to get to one of the guys that you submitted that I like. I think you're a little higher on him, but Damian Pierce. I think we were both on him last year. We talked a little bit about him before we had a whole show going and everything. But and he was a great ad. Like I think he got kind of phased out of some game scripted out of some games. Not his fault, but because the Texans were ass. So so basically, I guess why is Damian Pierce on the God Squad this year?
So he's on the God Squad because he's gettable at the back end or
Oh
midway
yeah,
through your draft. He's very gettable. Um, and basically what you said, but the opposite this year. Like he's gonna be himself, and he's gonna be phased out of less games.
yeah,
So imagine if you were a Damian Pierce owner last year. Imagine being a Damian Pierce owner last year, and the game still mattered in more fourth quarters.
right,
That's going to be fantastic for
yeah.
him.
Because he
He,
finished, I think he was like an RB2 is where he finished, somewhere in there. So
yeah, and
he'll probably take that next step.
they're going to have an extra, like that offense has just been invigorated with their new quarterback, and so new quarterback, new excitement, going to be in more games, and therefore, if he just plays the way he played last year, because how often was he rip raring to go, but the game flow said, "Sorry, dude, you can't have the ball," and this
Right.
year he can have the ball. So I think he's going to like have even a better year this year,
Yeah.
and people are kind of down on him because like there were people who drafted him last year, thought more was going to happen and it didn't. So those people are out and they're like, I'm not coming back to that. And it's like, no, 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 come back because the situation has changed.
I'm back for some more. Please, sir, I want some more Damian Pierce. Um, so get him on the squad. Yeah, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. I mean, it's and I think he's someone that like some people like. I don't think people are like go like I gotta get Damian Pierce, but like if you get him, like he could be a great surprise for you. So, that's but yeah, I could see him, creeping into that RB1, RB like back end RB1 territory if everything goes right.
Yeah,
Which is, way greater than the ADP you're getting him at, where I think, what does he go, like usually like eighth round or
yeah,
maybe late, I don't know.
yeah. I'm seeing them like 6 through 8.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a dang good value. Yeah, so yeah, I mean I like Pierce, he's good. Now let's see, wanted to go with next we'll go over to a guy that we both really like, our second Lion on here. And I noticed we kind of like we put like two Texans, two Lions,
Yeah, you got two
two
Jags.
Jags. Yeah, random. But yeah, so Jameer Gibbs. I know we both love us some Jameer Gibbs. And yeah, I just like his catchability out of the backfield. I think he's what new running backs should aspire to be. Kind of that dual threat where, maybe he's not the best runner in between the tackles, but I think he can get it done just fine. People are saying he's undersized because he was 199 pounds. Like, eat a cheeseburger, you're 200 pounds. Like, it's but yeah, I mean, just such an exciting player. I don't think there's a ton of tread on those tires from Alabama. I think, he's got that game breaking speed too that you love to see. So Jameer Gibbs is someone that I'm targeting about everywhere. I'll take him early. I don't care what people think. I got him at the end of a third round, which is, he might be moving up a little bit, but usually you can find him somewhere in that third round. And yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, he's just, I think he's going to win some leagues this year. I think he's where you can find extreme value where there's not a lot of super exciting running backs available there. I think he's just better than everyone around that ADP. And definitely someone who deserves to be a tier ahead, I think. So that's my view on Jahmyr Gibbs. What do you like about Gibbs?
It's just like when in doubt, just go upside. And Gibbs has all that upside. So if you're sitting there in the third round and you're looking at like just weird running backs that you don't like, oh, J.K. Dobbins is here. No, don't take J.K. Dobbins. Like take.
He doesn't even play. Yeah.
There's no upside. Take Jahmyr Gibbs.
Right.
Take someone exciting like that. He's and don't worry about David Montgomery. Don't stress David Montgomery. It's like
No.
The coach came out and he's like, oh, it's going to be a timeshare, and it's like it's David Montgomery, okay? Like,
Right.
don't worry about David Montgomery. Like, nothing bad's going to happen. Like, Gibbs is talented enough. He's going to get that ball. If Gibbs catches a pass at the 10, he's going in the end zone. All right, he's not going to fall to 1 and David Montgomery punch it in. Okay, so
Right.
don't stress that. And the Lions are a dynamic offense that are going to utilize a receiving back like that. They know how to do it.
Yeah.
And they're just going to be running up and down that field. Don't forget home games on turf with a speedy pass catching back, while other running backs might be slogging in Cleveland in the winter. Okay, so
Yeah.
remember where people play and the type of player they are. If Gibbs went to Philadelphia, that's a great offense, but I might be concerned about the weather situation for the last games of the year. He went to a place where his speed and agility can be on display in a really awesome place. I mean, the house of Barry Sanders. Okay, so this guy is set up for a good season and hopefully many good years. So I think, were you the one? Did you have Javonte on your? I think he was one of your submissions.
Yeah. So, and then one more thing about Gibbs.
Yes.
Draft capital is so important. Like, they drafted him for a reason. I'm not worried about David Montgomery. He went 12th overall, first round running backs. A lot of people they'll shy away, and you'll see this more with season long players, but you'll see people shy away from rookie running backs. Why? Like, they're just like, I gotta see what they do, and it's like, you're gonna miss the bus on this. Running backs are emerging earlier and earlier, and that draft capital, when has it not worked out that a running back has been taken in the first round? Look at Saquon Barkley most recently. His rookie year was phenomenal. He finished he was a top 10, I'm sure. And then I don't have a lot of stats in front of me. And then who else? Ezekiel Elliott. He had a wonderful rookie year. He even got to, jump into the Salvation Army thing, and I remember that. It was cute. And so yeah, just a lot of reasons to like rookie running backs. They're neat, they're fun, they have fresh legs. Not a lot of tread on those tires. So Jahmyr Gibbs, pick him up and win your fantasy league. Javonte Williams, pick him up too. So he tore about every bone in his leg that you can, which is, why I think a lot of people, and why his ADP is down, and there is some risk there. But as we talked about in our handcuffing session, you can always pick up Samaje Perine if you still want to be tied to that Broncos running game.
Yeah.
But Javonte Williams, we've only seen a little bit out of him, but what we've seen is awesome. He's one of those PPR guys. Let's see. I'm just really high on him. I think it's just the upside and him being in a Sean Payton ran offense. I think the Broncos are going to be much improved. Last year was a complete shit show. Russell Wilson's going to come back. Maybe not as good as he used to be, but he'll be serviceable. I don't think he's going to be a complete butt cheese boy like last time. So Javonte Williams, just I don't know. We even got a little bit of a glimpse. I think I added up. He only played 12 downs or something. He scored 7 fantasy points.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything amazing. It was 5 catches for 18 yards or 4 catches for 18 yards, and then he rushed for another few yards. But it was enough to do something. So I think he's just someone who, whenever he gets that ball in his hands, he's extremely productive. So that's why I'm high on Javonte Williams.
Yeah, I feel good about him. Just from the recovery aspect, he just looks like he's
Yeah.
recovering really well. He
Yeah.
hasn't had any setbacks. He hasn't had any like issues in training camp. So he's just been like trucking right along. And I think Samaji is going to be like a good thing because he's not
Yeah.
going to have to do it all. Samaji's going to spell him. And we know that Sean Payton offenses can support two running backs
Oh yeah.
faithfully, and they can both thrive. And so you can have him and be okay. You could also go ahead and get Samaji and be okay. But yeah, have him on your squad. Like he's not going to cost you a lot of money, a lot of draft capital to get it, and then you can also utilize that. But if it doesn't work out, you got Samaji there. But I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be really good this year.
Yeah, if you think of them like Kamara and Ingram, he's the Kamara. So that's the guy with the upside. Samaje's still going to have that floor, and if he ever does need to fill in, like hey, he can do it too. So yeah, Javante's awesome. Moving on to one of your guys, really fast guy too,
Yeah.
Zay Flowers. We got to talk about this guy.
Yes.
I think he's and he was one of your submissions, but I really like him as like a late round flyer that could really turn into something because nobody can compete with him over there in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but yeah, I guess I'll let you talk about him for a little bit. Why is Zay Flowers up here in the heavens with all these gentlemen?
Yeah, Zay is a heavenly creature because he's the man in Baltimore. It's emerging more and more that he is the number one option in Baltimore. Like and with his youth and his speed and his pass catching ability, it's just gonna be really fun to watch. He's one that I might peel away from the fantasy football app and quit doing yard work so I can just like watch them catch some footballs every once in a while
Yeah.
because it's just going to be really fun to watch. And then you just got to think about like, okay, who's the other options? Well, you got Odell, and we're all just kind of like iffy. Like, is Odell going to take 3 steps and snap in half? We're not sure what's going to happen there, and so and so Zay is just gonna like really thrive, really shine. They're in that new, dynamic, bright, shiny, awesome offense. And yeah, I just added the coach's favorite ticker, and so now we have that to run through. It's not as easy as doctor's orders, but we'll come up with something soon. I was gonna think maybe like attaboy, like where you slap him on the butt, like that's what a coach.
Attaboy slap ass.
Yeah, like hand emoji, attaboy.
Fifth quarter
But,
fantasy.
but he's in that new Todd Monken offense with super dynamic. I mean, we've seen how that worked in Georgia. You got an amazing quarterback, an amazing offense. He's the best pass catcher on the field. Only good stuff can happen from there. He's not going to cost you anything. I just got him in my draft in like the 10th round. So we're talking a number one receiver or the number one option on a team in the 10th round. Come on, like get
Yeah.
this on your squad. It's an easy ad. Of the rookies, we talked about this last time. Of the rookies, he's the best number one. He's the one with the number
Yeah.
one receiver potential. So have those cool rookies, but he's the one who's most likely to be a number one receiver.
Yeah, JSN being probably the most hyped, the one that's highest drafted out of like the big four,
Yeah.
but Zay Flowers is the true disciple here. So, excited about him. Yeah, just watching him. If you watch his film at Boston College, my goodness, like the way he can switch positions, the way he can I don't know, just like he can flip the whole field. He can juke anybody out. He's great in small space. I think he just has a really high football IQ. I think he, will catch about anything. Yeah, very excited for him. So I know he's a coach's favorite, but pick him up. That's doctor's orders for
Hey,
sure.
that's a double prescription.
Oh yeah, yep, double prescription. Go to the
Hey,
go see a pharmacist.
so I don't think we should finish on a tight end like
Okay.
no hate toward Kyle Pitts, but it's tight end, so I don't want to finish on a tight end. So we should talk about Kyle Pitts next. Like,
Yeah.
I know I submitted Kyle Pitts. How do you feel about Kyle Pitts?
So I think that upside is there for God Squad. Like I wouldn't take him off. He's not someone I'm looking for because I just don't like spending the draft capital on tight end. I'll go ahead and take the super late flyer if I've missed out on Kelsey, which I'm probably gonna miss out on Kelsey. Like I never get that guy, especially if you're in like a league where you start a wide receiver, running back, tight end flex, and you don't have a tight end spot. You know, whenever you get a tight end, if you don't have to get him, you can only start him in that one spot, and that's your flex. Like that kind of can put you at a disadvantage if you're waiting to hear back about an injury or on a Monday night game or something like that. But if you do have a tight end designation, Kyle Pitts does make sense because he's what we have wanted to happen for the last couple years, but it just hasn't happened for whatever reason. I think it's bad quarterback play. I don't think it's anything that's his fault. It's kind of like the Dameon Pierce situation. Not even getting game scripted out, but I saw a stat somewhere. It was basically like the target volume's there. They've just been really bad targets, and they've been not catchable balls. And I think it was like out of all the footballs that went his way, like 60% of them or something were catchable, whereas like on average most other people are in the 80s or somewhere like that. So I forget where the stats from, but yeah, Kyle Pitts, he's a unicorn. Like he's the prototypical tight end built with speed, strength, like everything that you could want that we really wish would have happened a couple years ago, but maybe this is the year that he really breaks out, playing more with Desmond Ridder. He did score his first touchdown on U.S. soil last year with Mariota. It's definitely there's just so much upside to be had, and so I'm excited about him. But if he slips and he's like in a wide receiver running back dead zone or something, that might be where I take the shot at Pitts. But yeah, definitely someone to be excited about, someone that you like having him on your team just because he's built better than pretty much every other tight end. He's built like a receiver, definitely someone that can go up and get it. He just needs a good opportunity. So I guess why are you so high on Kyle Pitts?
Well, I mean, first off, like you said, if you don't have a tight end designation in your league, then Kyle Pitts isn't God Squad. Okay, like, this is if you have a T in your roster requirements. Okay,
Yeah.
but it's for the upside, and I just think that Atlanta, Arthur Smith did not trust Mariota one bit at all, and they knew his limitations, and they just dealt with it. They couldn't. I mean, who could stand to watch that football that he was putting on the field? And so, anyways, what I'm hearing is that Ritter's had a great offseason. He's moving in the right direction. They obviously trust him and they want to give him a fair shake this year. And so that fair shake is going to include all options. And like they're going to open up that playbook and say, look, because I mean, like at the end of the day, this is money, this is business. And like I'm not going to move on from a guy till I kick all the tires and make sure they suck. Because if I don't do my due diligence and then suggest we move on from him, then I'm always going to wonder, was it us or was it him? And so I think this is is it us or is it you year for Desmond Ridder? And they're going to give him the full complement of offensive weapons, not to mention you got Bijan, who's going to be drawing a ton of attention. And between Bijan, London, and Kyle Pitts, if Ridder has taken that step forward, this offense could be pretty nice. When you think about last year, Atlanta was in so many games. To be so crappy, they were in games in the fourth quarter over and over and over again. So there's not a game flow problem. There's not a game script problem. It's literally just the playbook was so limited. So now we got a whole offense of Ridder studying that playbook, full trust. Let's kick the tires, see what he can do. And that's going to include using your best weapon in the passing game, which is Kyle Pitts. And so that's why I got a good feeling about him. I've seen him kind of dropping down. He's not costing as much as he was, which that played into why I wanted him on the God Squad, because he's not costing like a 4th round pick anymore.
Yeah.
And so if he doesn't cost that much and you can get a hold of him, then yeah, I think he could be a good addition, and he could be God Squad material. J-Man
Yeah.
would approve.
Oh yeah. There you go. Good stuff. The J-Man would approve. Yeah. So, last person, and definitely our lowest ADP. And I'll go ahead and put up the ticker on this one because
Oh,
I feel like my draft would be a wash if I don't walk away with Tank Dell. And why am I so high on this guy? I'll tell you. I started doing dynasty research super early, obsessing back in like May, June. Was very excited to get him in the 3rd round of a second year dynasty draft. I took him super early in our new startup dynasty draft. I think I took him like 8th or 9th round, which maybe that was a little premature, but but and don't do that. Like I think I was just extra high on him at that point. So this is someone that Tank Dell is someone that you can get in the 13th, 14th round to be safe. Like you can safely get him there if you're higher than everyone else there. And that's like a zone where, it's like, hey, who are you getting really? So like, your starting lineup is filled. Most of your bench is filled. He's almost last pick in the draft. And if you really want to go get him, whenever the ADP is coming up, most people kind of looking like who's like 10 of them in there. Scroll down a little bit more. If he's like maybe 15, 20 spots down, people aren't thinking of him yet. You can scoop him up then. But I know the Houston Texans have kind of a crowded receiver room. Here's some supporting evidence to why I like him. And I never share stats, but I had to look these up. Last year in college at the University of Houston, he almost had a triple crown in college. So he was 2nd in the nation in receptions with 109. Charlie Jones from Purdue had 110. So he was 1 reception away on that. 1st in yards with 1,398. 1st in touchdowns with 17. So he scored more than 1 touchdown a game. If you watch his tape, there's not a route that he can't run. There's not he's not a one-trick pony that just does 4 deep or anything like that.
Yeah.
He can do it all. He's fast. He's one of those guys who not quite like a Devontae Smith build, but he is like kind of skinny, so people are kind of worried about that. But we're starting to see receivers like it doesn't matter. Like if you're fast and have hands, like you'll be just fine. Another thing, he's a local guy. He went to Houston, so he's staying with the Texans. So that's kind of more of a bonus. When they drafted C.J. Stroud, around like that draft night, he was like, "Hey, go get Tank Dell." So he really wanted to establish that connection with him, and they started to do that right off the bat. We saw him in a little bit of preseason action. He sat out the second game. I guess he wasn't feeling right, but that first game, he played 1 half, 5 catches, 65 yards, 1 touchdown. If he's someone who can put up 17, 18 fantasy points in 1 half, like I'd love to see what he can do with an actual game on the line and getting some real experience there. So Tank Dell definitely someone I'm higher on than most people, but he could be definitely a game winner that late in your draft. Why not shoot for the heavens with that upside that late in the draft rather than selling for like we're not drafting these guys for their high floor, so there is a chance that a lot of these guys could bust, but I think there's definitely more boom potential with most of these guys. So Tank Dell, doctor's orders, pick his ass up unless you're in one of my leagues, like leave him alone so I can get him. But yeah, Tank Dell's the man. And in some formats, he's listed as Nathaniel Dell. So if you can't find him, just know that his birth given name is Nathaniel Dell, but the dude is a tank. So in some formats, he goes by Tank Dell, and that's doctor's orders.
Oh, the doctor has spoken. So that's the starting God Squad. We did have just a couple of honorable mentions. We won't go into deep detail on those guys, but who are our honorable mentions?
So some of them, a little obvious. And I did add another one here, but I got Joe Burrow, Jerry Jeudy, which he probably should have been on here. But I mean that would give us two Broncos, which I don't know why we keep doing this, but yeah, Jerry Jeudy, Joe Burrow, Jahan Dotson, and Sky Moore. So Sky Moore, one of those wide receiver, sort of like Zay Flowers. It's around that same area where you can get a wide receiver one in round 8, 9, 10. So Sky Moore, I think, is the guy there. Kadarius Toney, if he wouldn't have got hurt this preseason, he would have been the guy there because. But I think we've just waited too long on him to get healthy finally, and I think we're chasing one game from 3 years ago that he blew up on. So Sky Moore is the guy there, I think. But yeah, those are my honorable mentions. Did you have anyone to add to that? I know we kind of put that list together.
No. Judy was the main one that I was debating on. I had him on my list to text to you, and then I took him off. I can't remember who I replaced him with. But yeah, because he's emerging as the guy in Denver, the number one option at first with the new offense. People were wondering who's going to be the guy, and it's there's no wondering anymore. It's Jerry Jeudy. He's going to get the ball thrown to him.
Yeah.
He's going to get 10, 12
big booty Jeudy
targets, big booty Jeudy all day. And so yeah, I think he's God Squad honorable mention for sure. So
definitely.
So that's the God Squad. Use it as a template for your drafts. You can get a lot of these guys. When we come to you next time, we will be together in person in the land. We'll be broadcasting live from Popeye's Chicken in East Cleveland. So
bang, bang, skeet, skeet. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we hit it. I think people are going to be really happy with their choices if they choose some of these gods.
Oh. Yeah, and if you're, a lot of our listeners, I know a lot of people who are less obsessed than us are just now starting to kind of do their research for their drafts upcoming this weekend and next weekend. Check out some of our old videos. Some of it might have changed because they were months ago and all that, but we've been at this for a while, pretty much all summer now, and I think we've put together one hell of a God Squad. If so, very. Very excited about that hell of a God Squad over here. So anyway, but this was fun and very excited to. We'll probably do a nice episode, probably Friday night or something. We'll probably have a fire going. Might even do a best ball draft where we're both kind of at the computer and maybe get some of these God Squad guys. So yeah, that's everything there. So just remember these 5 things, and then Vinny's gonna hit us with the outro music. Don't forget to live, laugh, love, like, and subscribe. 5th Quarter Fantasy Cast.
Hey!
We're out! Is the music playing? Oh, okay. I can never tell.